In a world where influence is fleeting and trust is a luxury, how do you rise to power and hold it against cunning rivals? Today, we unravel the timeless wisdom of Niccolo Machiavelli, solving the problem of thriving in the ruthless arena of modern power struggles. Good evening, seekers of wisdom and wielders of ambition. I am your guide, inspired by the sharp mind of Niccolo Machiavelli, the Florentine master of power's dark arts. In a world where fortunes shift like sand, where leaders rise and fall, and where trust is but a tool, we gather to explore the art of power in the modern world. Tonight, we strip away the illusions of virtue and peer into the machinery of influence. How does one seize power, hold it, and thrive amidst rivals who plot in boardrooms, parliaments, and digital arenas? Let us unlock Machiavelli's philosophy, not as a relic of the past, but as a blade sharpened for today's battles. Welcome, seekers of influence, to a journey into the heart of power itself. I'm your guide, channeling the sharp, unyielding mind of Niccolo Machiavelli, the man who dared to strip away the illusions of virtue and reveal the raw mechanics of dominance. Today, we dive into the first cornerstone of our exploration, Machiavelli's core philosophy. This isn't about dusty books or old Italian courts. It's about the timeless truth that power is won and held through pragmatism, adaptability, and strategic manipulation where results trump morality every time. So, grab a seat, lean in, and let's unravel how this philosophy thrives in our modern world, from corporate boardrooms to political arenas and even the digital battlegrounds of social media. Ready to see power for what it truly is? Let's begin. Picture a world where ideals are shouted from podiums, but deals are struck in shadows. Machiavelli understood this better than anyone. His philosophy, born in the cutthroat city-states of Renaissance Italy, wasn't about chasing dreams of a perfect society. It was about surviving and thriving in a world where human nature is selfish, ambitious, and unpredictable. He taught us that power isn't a gift, it's a prize you seize through cold, calculated moves. Pragmatism is the backbone here. Forget lofty principles or promises of fairness. To Machiavelli, the question is simply what works. If you're running a startup, do you stick to your values and go bankrupt, or do you pivot, cut corners, and outmaneuver your competitors to stay alive? The answer is obvious. Look at the tech giants of today. Those who dominate don't just innovate, they acquire, they lobby, they bend the rules to their will. That's pragmatism in action, and it's straight out of Machiavelli's playbook. Now, let's talk adaptability. Machiavelli saw life as a turbulent river, always shifting, always dangerous. The leader who thrives doesn't cling to one strategy but bends with the current. Imagine a politician facing a scandal. One day, they're preaching unity. The next, they're deflecting blame or rallying their base with a new narrative. They adapt because they must. In today's world, where a single tweet can spark a firestorm, adaptability is survival. Consider a social media influencer caught in a controversy. Do they double down and risk ruin, or do they pivot, rebrand, and charm their way back into favor? The ones who last are the ones who read the room, or the algorithm, and shift their approach without hesitation. Machiavelli would nod in approval, for he knew that those who cannot adapt are swept away by fortune's whims. Strategic manipulation is where the game gets spicy. Machiavelli didn't shy away from the darker arts of power. He knew that people are swayed by what they see and feel, not by truth. To hold power, you must shape perceptions, control narratives, and yes, sometimes deceive. Think of a CEO facing a PR crisis. They don't just apologize. They stage a comeback, donate to a cause, or shift the spotlight to a shiny new product. It's not about sincerity, it's about results. In politics, this is even clearer. Leaders craft their image with carefully timed speeches, staged photo ops, or even calculated leaks. Machiavelli's genius was in seeing this as a tool, not a sin. He'd point to modern campaigns, where data analytics target voters with precision, tailoring messages to manipulate emotions. It's not about lying, it's about winning. But here's where it gets real out. Machiavelli's philosophy puts results above morality. This isn't about being evil. It's about being effective. In his world, and ours, the stakes are too high for naive ideals. Take a corporate merger. The executives don't ask if it's fair to workers. They ask if it strengthens their market share. Or look at geopolitics. Nations form alliances not out of friendship, but out of necessity, ready to betray when the winds change. Machiavelli's point is brutal but clear: the leader who clings to morality over results risks losing everything. In our world, where power shifts in an instant, this truth hits hard. Whether you're navigating office politics or building a personal brand, you must prioritize what gets you ahead, not what feels right. Let's bring this home. Machiavelli's core philosophy is a lens for today's chaos. The startup founder who outsmarts a rival, the politician who spins a crisis into a victory, the influencer who turns scandal into sympathy. They're all playing his game. Pragmatism means choosing the move that works. Adaptability means staying one step ahead of the tide. Strategic manipulation means shaping the story in your favor. And prioritizing results over morality means accepting that power demands tough choices. This is the art of power, and it's as alive today as it was in Florence centuries ago. So, as you watch the world's power players, on screens, in headlines, or even in your own workplace, ask yourself, are you ready to play the game, or will you be outplayed? Greetings, ambitious minds, ready to uncover the secrets of power in our chaotic world. I'm your guide, speaking with the sharp-edged wisdom of Machiavelli, whose insights cut through the noise of centuries to illuminate the battlegrounds of today. We're diving into the second cornerstone of our journey, the modern relevance of Machiavelli's philosophy. His ideas, forged in the fiery politics of Renaissance Italy, aren't locked in history books. They pulse through the veins of today's politics, business, and social dynamics where influence and control are the ultimate prizes. Whether you're navigating corporate ladders, political campaigns, or the wild west of social media, Machiavelli's lessons are your playbook for mastering the game. Let's dive into how his timeless strategies thrive in our modern arena, engaging you to see power's machinery in action. Machiavelli knew that power is the currency of human affairs, and today's world proves him right with every headline, deal, and viral post. In politics, his shadow looms large. Picture a modern election. Candidates don't just debate policies, they wage wars of perception. A politician crafts their image with precision, using media to charm voters while quietly securing loyalty through favors or pressure. This is Machiavelli's prince, reborn in tailored suits and sound bites. He taught us to be foxes, cunning and elusive, when navigating alliances. Look at global diplomacy. Nations form coalitions not out of trust, but out of mutual gain, ready to shift sides when the balance tips. A leader might smile at a summit while their advisors plot trade sanctions behind closed doors. This is Machiavelli's pragmatism, alive and well, where the goal isn't friendship, but dominance. Now, let's shift to the corporate world, where Machiavelli's principles shine just as brightly. Business is a battlefield, and today's CEOs are modern princes. Consider a tech mogul launching a startup. They don't just build a product. They outmaneuver competitors by securing patents, poaching talent, or undercutting prices. Machiavelli would applaud their ruthlessness, for he knew that hesitation invites defeat. Take a corporate mergering. It's not about fairness, but about market control. A company might publicly champion innovation while quietly buying out rivals to eliminate threats. This is the art of war in boardrooms, where alliances are forged with contracts and broken with buyouts. Machiavelli's advice to adapt and strike decisively fits perfectly here. Executives who cling to outdated strategies watch their empires crumble, while those who pivot thrive. Social dynamics, too, are a stage for Machiavelli's wisdom, especially in the digital age. Social media is a new coliseum, where influence is won or lost in moments. An influencer builds their brand not just with content, but with calculated moves. Collaborations, controversies, or carefully timed posts to ride trending waves. Machiavelli's call to manipulate perceptions is at play here. A viral scandal can sink a reputation, But the savvy player spins it into sympathy or deflects with a distraction. Think of a celebrity caught in a misstep. They don't just apologize. They stage a redemption arc, perhaps with a charitable act or a heartfelt video. This is the fox's cunning, shaping how the crowd sees you. Even in everyday life, from office politics to personal networks, we see Machiavelli's touch. People curry favor, trade secrets, or shift allegiances to climb the social ladder. What makes Machiavelli so relevant is his unflinching view of human nature. He saw people as driven by self-interest, and our world confirms this daily. In politics, voters are swayed by emotions, not facts. So campaigns target fears or hopes with surgical precision. In business, customers are won not just with quality, but with branding that manipulates desire. On social platforms, likes and follows are currencies of power, earned through strategic posts that tap into trends or outrage. Machiavelli's genius was in embracing this reality without judgment. He'd look at our data-driven world, where algorithms predict behavior and ads shape choices, and see his principles weaponized with new tools. The influencer who pays for bots to boost their following, the politician who leaks a rival's scandal. They're all playing his game, prioritizing results over ideals. The beauty of Machiavelli's philosophy is its versatility. It scales from global stages to personal battles. Whether you're a startup founder eyeing investors, a politician rallying a base, or an individual navigating a toxic workplace, his lessons apply. Be adaptable, like the leader who pivots during a crisis. Be cunning, like the influencer who turns a misstep into a comeback. Above all, understand that power is about control. Control of narratives, resources, and perceptions. In our fast-moving, interconnected world, where a single misstep can go viral, Machiavelli's call to anticipate, manipulate, and act decisively is more vital than ever. So, as you watch the power plays around you, ask yourself, are you a pawn, or are you ready to move like a prince? Welcome back, bold navigators of power's treacherous waters. I'm your guide, infused with the cunning spirit of Niccolò Machiavelli, the master who saw the world not as it should be, but as it is, a battlefield of ambition, deceit, and opportunity. Today, we dive into our third cornerstone: navigating challenges. In a world teeming with competing interests, rival CEOs, political adversaries, or even the relentless churn of social media, Machiavelli's teachings offer a sharp, edged guide to wielding power effectively. This isn't about playing nice, it's about outsmarting, outlasting, and outmaneuvering those who stand in your way. Whether you're climbing the corporate ladder, steering a campaign, or building a personal empire, let's explore how to conquer the chaos with cunning and foresight, keeping you hooked on the art of winning. Machiavelli knew that power is never secure. It's a flame that flickers in a storm of rivals, each plotting to snuff it out. The challenge is constating. How do you hold your ground when everyone wants a piece of it? In today's world, this is truer than ever. Picture a startup founder pitching to investors while competitors sabotage their reputation with whispers of doubt, or a politician facing a rival who leaks compromising stories to the press. These are the arenas where Machiavelli's wisdom shines. He taught us that to navigate challenges, you must first know your enemies. Study them, their strengths, their weaknesses, their desires. In a corporate setting, this might mean analyzing a competitor's financials or tracking their hires to predict their next move. In politics, it's about understanding what drives your opponent's base. Knowledge is your first weapon, and Machiavelli would urge you to wield it ruthlessly. Cunning is your next tool. Machiavelli's prince doesn't charge blindly into battle. They plot, they scheme, they strike when the moment is right. In our modern landscape, this translates to strategic timing. Imagine a tech executive facing a product launch flop. Instead of panicking, they leak a teaser for a bolder project, stealing the narrative and regaining investor confidence. Or think of a social media influencer caught in a controversy. They don't just respond. They orchestrate a comeback, perhaps partnering with a trending cause to shift the spotlight. This is Machiavelli's fox at work, slipping through traps with clever misdirection. You must anticipate reactions and shape them to your advantage. In a boardroom, this might mean planting an idea through a trusted ally before a meeting, so it seems organic when you champion it. Cunning isn't about brute force. It's about bending the game to your will. Foresight is where you pull ahead. Machiavelli warned that fortune is a fickle mistress, but those who prepare can tame her. Today's challenges move at lightning speed. A viral post, a market crash, a sudden policy shift can upend your plans. The key is to see the storm coming. A business leader might hedge against economic shifts by diversifying their portfolio before a downturn hits. A politician might build grassroots support to weather a scandal. Foresight means mapping the terrain, knowing who holds influence, where loyalties lie, and what trends are emerging. In the digital age, this could mean monitoring social media sentiment to catch a brewing backlash before it explodes. Machiavelli's advice is to build your fortress before the siege, whether it's a network of allies, a war chest of resources, or a narrative that shields you from attack. The modern world amplifies these challenges with its interconnected chaos. A single misstep can spiral globally in hours, but so can a well-timed move. Machiavelli would revel in this high-stakes game. Consider a company facing public outrage over a misjudged ad. The savvy leader doesn't just apologize, they pivot, launching a campaign that aligns with public values, turning critics into fans. Or look at international politics, where leaders navigate trade wars and alliances with the precision of chess masters. They offer concessions in public while securing leverage in private. This is Machiavelli's call to balance boldness with caution. Strike hard, but only when you've rigged the odds. Even in personal life, navigating office politics or social circles demands the same. You charm a colleague to gain their trust, but you're ready to sideline them if they turn. What ties this together is Machiavelli's relentless focus on control. Challenges arise because others seek to wrest power from you. Your job is to stay one step ahead, using cunning to outwit, foresight to outplan, and knowledge to outmaneuver. In a world where competitors are always circling, you must be the one who sets the terms. A startup might undercut a rival's pricing to steal market share, while a politician might leak a policy proposal to test public reaction. The principle is the same: anticipate, manipulate, and act. Machiavelli's world was one of daggers and intrigue. Ours is one of algorithms and headlines, but the game remains unchanged. So, as you face your own challenges, ask yourself, are you reacting, or are you shaping the battlefield to your advantage? Welcome back, bold players in the game of power. I'm your guide, speaking with the piercing clarity of Niccolò Machiavelli, the man who dared to expose the raw mechanics of influence without flinching. Today, we tackle our fourth cornerstoning ethical tension. In a world obsessed with the appearance of virtue, where leaders preach justice, equality, and transparency, Machiavelli's philosophy challenges us to balance ruthless strategy with the mask of morality. This isn't about preaching right and wrong. It's about navigating the tightrope between what wins and what the world expects. Whether you're leading a corporation, shaping a political campaign, or carving out influence online, this tension defines the modern prince. Let's dive into how Machiavelli's moral yet practical approach thrives in today's high-stakes arena, keeping you gripped by the art of power. Machiavelli saw the world as it is, not as we wish it to be. He knew that power demands choices that don't always align with the virtues we proclaim. In his time, princes had to seem pious while plotting betrayals to secure their thrones. Today, that tension is everywhere. Look at a corporate leader caught in a scandal. Say, a company exposed for unethical practices. The public demands accountability, but survival demands strategy. The savvy executive doesn't just apologize, they orchestrate a public redemption, perhaps launching a sustainability initiative or donating to a cause. Behind closed doors, they tighten their grip, restructuring to protect their power. This is Machiavelli's lesson: you must wear the cloak of virtue, but never let it bind your hands. The world applauds the show of goodness, but it's the ruthless move that keeps you in the game. In politics, this tension is even starker. Modern leaders operate under a microscope, where every word is dissected on social media. Yet, Machiavelli would argue that the crowd's love for virtue is a tool, not a rule. Consider a politician pushing a controversial policy. They might cloak it in noble rhetoric. Say, economic reform for the greater good, while quietly securing votes through backroom deals or pressure. The public sees the shine of ideals, but the real work happens in the shadows. Machiavelli didn't condemn this, he celebrated it as necessary. I head point to today's leaders who champion transparency while controlling narratives through carefully timed leaks or media partnerships. The ethical tension lies in knowing that pure honesty risks vulnerability while deception secures strength. The prince who ignores this balance falls to rivals who don't. The digital age amplifies this dance. Social media demands a performance of authenticity, yet power lies in manipulation. An influencer facing backlash for a misstep might post a tearful apology, but it's often a calculated move to regain followers. Time to ride the wave of public sympathy. Machiavelli would smile at this. He called for leaders to seem virtuous, not to be virtuous. In business, too, companies brand themselves as ethical champions while cutting corners to outpace competitors. A tech giant might tout diversity initiatives while quietly lobbying against regulations that curb their profits. This isn't hypocrisy in Machiavelli's eyes, it's survival. The ethical tension is about knowing when to wear the mask and when to wield the knife, ensuring the crowd sees the former while you execute the latter. What makes this tension so gripping is its universality. In any arena, corporate, political, or personal, you face the same dilemma. Take a manager navigating office politics. They might publicly praise a struggling colleague while privately positioning themselves for a promotion. The crowd, colleagues, bosses, sees fairness, but the move is calculated. Machiavelli's genius was in embracing this without guilt. He knew that power demands sacrifices, and morality often takes the hit. In today's world, where a single misstep can spark outrage, the stakes are higher. A leader must project integrity while making choices that secure their position. A startup founder might promise employees equity while negotiating a deal that dilutes their shares. The crowd cheers the vision, but the fine print serves the founder's control. This balance isn't easy. Lean too hard on virtue, and you risk being outplayed by those unbound by it. Line too hard on ruthlessness, and you alienate the crowd. Machiavelli's answer was to master both. A modern example: a CEO facing a labor dispute might publicly support workers' rights while quietly hiring consultants to break the union. The public sees compassion, the board sees results. This is the heart of ethical tension, knowing that power requires you to navigate the gap between what you say and what you do. In our interconnected world, where every move is scrutinized, this skill is paramount. Whether you're building a brand, leading a team, or swaying voters, you must craft a persona that inspires trust while making the hard calls that keep you on top. So, as you face your own battles, considering, how will you balance the mask of virtue with the reality of power? And so, we stand at the crossroads of ambition and reality, armed with the unyielding wisdom of Niccolo Machiavelli. We've journeyed through the heart of his philosophy. Pragmatism, adaptability, and strategic cunning as the pillars of power. We've seen its pulse in today's world, where politics, business, and social arenas demand the same ruthless clarity that guided princes of old. We've navigated the challenges of rivalries and chaos, learning to outwit and outmaneuver with foresight as our shield. And we've wrestled with the tension between the mask of virtue and the necessities of survival, balancing what the world sees with what power demands. My counsel is not a call to cruelty, but a lantern in the dark, illuminating the path to influence in a world where trust is fragile and fortune is fickle. To you, modern princes, whether you lead in boardrooms, campaigns, or the digital spotlight, I say this: study your fours, shape the narrative, and act without hesitation. Power is not given, it is forged. Seize it, hold it, and let the world marvel at your reign. Fade to black, with the narrator's voice lingering. The game is yours. Will you play to win?